Ido, I-D-O, to know, was originally Wido, W-I-D-O, corresponding to our wit, German Wissen, W-I-S-S-E-N, Greek Oida, O-I-D-A, originally Wida, W-I-D-A, Lin, L-I-N, sounded now as Yayin, that might be capital I-I-N, sounded now as Yayin. Our wine was originally Win, W-I-N, sounded Wayin. The Greek being Oinos, O-I-N-O-S, originally Winos. Il, I-L-L, was probably originally W-L-L, our whale or howl. L-L-K and E-L-K, Yalik and Halik, very common words meaning to go or walk, were probably originally W-L-K, Walak. Skeet, S-K-E-A-T, is obliged to derive our word walk from a root meaning to roll or toss oneself about, but this is very unsatisfactory. I-R-D, to descend, which was originally W-I-R-D, corresponding to our wart, W-O-R-T, root, wurzel, W-R-Z-E-L. Greek Riza, R-I-Z-A, originally W-R-I-Z-A. Latin radix, R-A-D-I-X, Welsh, G-W-R-E-I-D-D-Y-N. Roots are descenders. I-O-L was probably W-O-L, originally meaning to benefit, corresponding to our wheel, W-A-L, or whale, W-E-L-L. There is clear historical proof that the sound of W or V died out of Greek. There is just as clear evidence that an initial W or V died out of Hebrew and was replaced by the weak sound of the Yod, Y-O-D, or the letter I. This is proved through words such as I-R-D, Yared, Y-A-R-A-D, descend, forming their nouns with a U, representing a W as murd, M-U-R-D. There are many cases like this. Further, it is known that the word Haya, H-A-Y-A-H, or E-I-E, to become, was originally Hava, E-U-E, from which comes the Greek name Jehovah, or I-U-I-U-I-E-U-E. According to Genesis 11:1, after the flood, all the earth had one lip and one set of words. We read that Jehovah came down to confound their lip and scattered them over the earth. The confusion of tongues was furthered by tribes becoming separated by rivers and mountains, also by variations in weather and the seasons which commenced with the flood. For example, the lips of a mountaineer utter rougher and fuller sounds than ones who live near sea level. Climate has a great deal to do with speech. All races use the sounds which come easiest to their lips and avoid those which are difficult or more laborious. Our argument is that the modern British people possess lips well adapted to form the sounds of W and V, whereas the ancient Hebrews had lips which avoided these letters. Physically, therefore, there is one more difference between them. Phrenology also furnishes evidence that the modern Hebrew has a head quite different from the British type. A well-known English phonologist who had examined 100,000 heads stated that the Jewish head is just as distinct as the Hebrew physiognomy. It matters little as to the country he inhabits. The Jew retains his own distinctive mental characteristics, his shape of head, and his physiognomy. It is really absurd for anyone to argue that any considerable physical difference between the recognized Jews in the world and British Israelites is permissible. If they are all sons of Jacob, there ought to be great similarity between them. The phrenologist attributes to the Jews great intuition, which gives them a keen, penetrating insight into character and motives, so they are apt at summing up others. This enables them to personate others and become good actors. They are expert at foreseeing the future and forestalling the future. The properties summed up in the name Jacob, they have not by any means lost, taking others by the heel, furtiveness, circumventing others, or following others close for a purpose. This last seems to be the root meaning of the name, the heels or footsteps following, or read the footsteps following close and omit heels, close often with an ulterior motive. On the other hand, the Jew is said to lack concentrativeness. Not only is the Hebrew nose usually prominent, but from the root of the nose upwards to the top of the brow, there is a fullness of decided development, not seen in others and quite different from the British. If the Jew is really a brother of the British, it is extraordinary that he is totally and fixedly different from the British people in physical and mental characteristics. What is more, the Jews in Britain are not treated as brothers by the British, nor do they look on the British as brothers. To sum up, it may be stated without any fear of disproof that the British people are almost as different as they could be, either from the ancient Israelites or the modern Israelites. Only wishful thinking can make a British person an Israelite. When the proofs of a theory are based upon undocumented traditions and cannot be discovered within the sacred writings, it is evident that 2 Timothy 4:3-4 is being fulfilled. For there will be a season when they will not be tolerating the health-giving teaching, but on the contrary, in accord with their own over-desires, they will accumulate for themselves teachers, getting their hearing tickled. And indeed, from the truth they will be turning away their hearing. Yet to the myths they will get turned aside. This season is now with us.